There we go. Okay, so next slide, please. So to recap, yes, I'm Julian Gruzelier. I'm head of agriculture for Netafim in the UK. We're based in Skelmersdale. Can you just move the slide on a bit, please? Netafim is an Israeli company founded in 1965 in southern Israel, Hatzarim, and they were the first company to develop drip irrigation. And between 1965 and now, many things have advanced. We won't go through them one by one. And I guess the biggest event was 2017. We were bought by a company which is now called Orbia, and we're part of a global group. Next slide, please. Advance it again, please. So Netafim today is about $1 billion worldwide. We've got 19 manufacturing plants and I think 27, 28 subsidiaries, and we're delivering product in 110 countries around the globe. Next slide, please. And again, please. So principally what I'm here to talk about is drip irrigation, trickle irrigation. To most, it looks like a black pipe with a hole in it, but actually it is advanced precision engineering, and there's guys that live their lives in dark rooms trying to develop these things. And you can see through this time chart, 1965 to today, there's been many advances in what goes on inside a drip system. And today we're manufacturing over 20 billion drippers a year. Next slide, please. But whilst drip irrigation is our mainstay, obviously there's many other parts that go into the system. There's the controllers, there's the filters, there's the pipes, which we can talk about for hours on end. And we have to be honest that not all crops, not all environments suit drip irrigation. And we also offer sprinklers and micro sprinklers as part of our portfolio. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to go through lots of technical stuff, but basically from the entry-level drip, we have what we call tape, pressure non-compensated irrigation. This is very simple drippers, relatively low cost, designed more to be used on flat land and designed to be an annual product that you would replace every year. Next slide, please. Through to the pressure compensated products, which these we talk about 10 years for budget purposes, but 15 years, 20 years. I think the oldest of these drip systems I'm aware of is about 27 years old in this country. So these are long-term drip systems that pressure compensated. So each drip is giving you the same output, which means that they will work over challenging topography, shall we say. Next slide, please. Now, where we position the drip line depends very much on what you're growing. I've put 2 potato crops in here. On the right-hand side, we've got 1 drip line per ridge. This would normally be for a crop that's skin finish is important, so a wear crop, aimed for the supermarkets probably. The picture on the left is 1 drip line between the ridges, and this is more for a processing crop, where actually some of the benefits of having the drip between the ridge and the mechanical benefits, the handling benefits, trump the need for skin finish. So there's many different things we can do with the drip system depending on what you're growing and where your target market is. Next slide, please. And drip, because it's a solid set system, becomes it can be automated. So typically we would use the same amount of water at one time that a rain gun is using, but we distribute it over a wider area. And from one of these containers, we can irrigate about 65 hectares from the 65 acres, sorry, from the touch of a button. So once the system's in the field, its management and use is very simple. And whilst we talk about drip irrigation, actually drip should be seen as a delivery system, because we can apply the fertilizer through the drip, meaning that we actually target the fertilizer directly to the crop as the crop needs it. Next slide, please. So, what can drip deliver us? I mean, Drip, we talk about saving water, but there's no magic there. We're only irrigating the part of the field that the crop is growing in. So typically we're saving between 30 and 50% of the water compared to a rain gun. Now, if we put that in context, I mean, our goal is to have the most efficient crop return per cubic metre of water we put on. And some of the work we've done in East Anglia, we can see drip irrigation, we're using 12 tonnes of water per tonne of crop, where a rain gun is using 22 tonnes of water per tonne of crop. And by reducing the water, we also reduce the pumping need. Because we're at low pressure, because we're pumping less water, typically 25% of the diesel is put into the pump when using drip compared to using a rain gun. And obviously, as I said earlier, we can apply the fertilizer. We're only targeting the parts of the field that the crop is growing in, which means the tram lines stay in better shape, which helps the soil conditions should the rain work against us. And quite often we see yield increase as well. Next slide, please.
I'm David Armstrong and I farm at Bardney in mid Lincolnshire. I've farmed here the majority of my life.
I'm Andrew Branson. We are now currently in the Spalding area of South Lincolnshire. My father and I and my mother are in partnership, and we farm here near Spalding, where we've done for 3 generations now, including me. Potatoes would be the most significant part of the business.
I'm Andrew Houseman from Houseman Agriculture. We've been working with drip irrigation systems for the last 5 years. We've become an end-to-end contract business, supplying equipment, tape, contracting services from start to finish, laying, removal, management through the season, helping to encourage and improve quality for growers across Lincolnshire and more this season into Norfolk and Suffolk, and broadening the area as we go, really.
I'm Jim Lee. I work for myself now as JL Agri. Bits of what we've been doing have been trial plots and demonstrating the technology to growers who might not necessarily have used drip before and are looking to replace gun and booms. So that could be anything sort of 5 to 10 acres up to people who are taking on 75-acre blocks.
The drip irrigation has been clearly the efficiency of the water use. We use considerably less water, and it's targeted so that we know it gets exactly where it's needed.
3 years ago, myself and a colleague started with the contracting business. We're moving forward and working with Netafim on tape and systems that we weren't working with before. As contractors, it's much easier for us. The new FlexNet header main, the FlexNet has revolutionised how we can get out to customers and how we can move forward. We're now taking 30 or 40 acres of field equipment out, Netafim field equipment out, and we can take that in the back of a truck and arrive on farm and set up in a day where it was taking us 2 or 3 days, really.
From my findings, I think we probably use about 2/3 the amount of water we was using when we was overhead irrigating. This year we've actually gone on to 100% drip irrigation. One of the big drivers for me, I have found our staff have sort of engaged well. They've been keen to use drip irrigation. They can see the benefits to my business, but also from a workload point of view, it's a lot easier in the middle of summer. On our sort of fen soils, it definitely helps putting the water into the ridge where the crop needs it, rather than putting it all overhead and hoping that some of it runs into the ridge.
The setup is significant, but once it is set up, the day-to-day operation of it is a breeze compared to conventional irrigation.
Another area with drip irrigation where we find a big benefit is that we can irrigate every day. For us, growing Maris piper, which is very susceptible to common scab, it enables us to get the quality we require from the market on a more regular basis than what we was doing previously with overhead irrigation.
We have seen advantages on less than ideal soils which we grow potatoes on by using drip irrigation. The drip irrigation does mean that we can wet those soils where it's exactly where we want it, it's local to the tuber, and we've seen some significant benefits from it.
Where we were drip irrigating, we managed to sustain yield, improve yield in some places, and produce quality crop. The insurance, the quality of the potatoes that have come from the drip irrigated crops are ensuring that those growers are able to sell them through the season and continue into the late season.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm overrunning a bit, so I'll get told off. But just 2 more slides. One, I mean, I think with all irrigation, using sensors to determine your scheduling is very important. There's a lot of parameters in the way water moves through the soil, the way crops use water, that we need to understand if we're actually going to irrigate accurately, regardless of the technique we're using to irrigate. Next slide, please. And as was shown in the video, what we're starting to see now is irrigation as a service. Third-party contractors come in and deliver the system for you, install it, support it, and just let you get on with the business of growing the crop. So it's a service that's more widely spread in East Anglia due to the fact that there's more irrigation over there, but there's nothing to stop it coming to the northwest. And that's it. Thank you very much.